Hello guys and welcome to Mad Stories. Today we have some stories from the subreddit r/MaliciousCompliance, and our first story is Politicians ignore warnings about publishing everyone's data online. Back when every business and government was starting to get their services accessible online for the first time, there was a new law passed in my state that all local government public records must be accessible via the web. Those records held by the local government included dog registrations, building plans or permits, property ownership information, and etc. Until this point, you had to physically turn up at the local government offices and have your name recorded to access such information, but it was free to access and they were not permitted to deny you. At the time, I was the webmaster for one of the local government areas in Australia. When this was first proposed, we highlighted that residents would be very upset by making this information easier to access and potentially for people to scrape the entire dataset. Tests to prove you were human were not very reliable back then. This was politics, so we were somewhat surprised that the politicians didn't see the potential public backlash. We also wanted to protect our residents from people who would try to abuse or profit from mass access to this information. Our warnings were ignored, so we complied, maliciously. I wrote an absolutely brilliant information portal with the best captcha we could implement at the time, which complied exactly with what the law required. We ensured the local newspapers knew the exact date and time it would go online, and what would be published. It was easy to find and put in a lot of time to ensure news media would be able to easily demonstrate the potential harm. The following day, front page news about the massive privacy issues this could pose. That morning, we were told to take it offline and it stayed offline permanently. The portal was up for a total of 27 hours. In the aftermath, politicians tried to shift the blame to our local government's leadership, who shifted it to us in the IT department. We had prepared a paper trail to ensure that those truly responsible were given all the credit for the project, and those who rebuffed our warnings had their emails included in the Freedom of Information requests made during the investigation. Paid in pennies. In the late 90s, I lived in a pretty sweet apartment with a cool little turret room. It was a studio, but it was just me and a cat, so it worked perfectly. I loved the location, but the landlord was difficult. When I first signed the lease, she acted like it was cool that I had a cat. But one time, when she came by with the bug guy, she saw my cat and demanded I pay her a pet deposit. I was like, "You didn't mention that before," but cool, whatever. Things toddle along for a few more months when I get a call. Landlord wants to come by and show her friend the work she did on the place before I moved in, because she was proud of doing it herself. Okay, cool, whatever. Landlord and friend come over, walk around the apartment for a few minutes. Friend is gushing about how much she loves the place and what she did with it. Yeah, me too. There were definitely some sapphic vibes going on, so I'm thinking good for you too. A couple of weeks later, my landlord calls and says, "I want you out by the end of the month." I'm like, huh? What? And she tries to say it was because I didn't tell her I had a cat when I moved in, despite us having that discussion with me paying her the pet deposit when asked. I explained this to her, she was adamant, tried to gaslight me, and insisted I had to get out. Turns out her friend fell in love with the place and was in need of a new spot by the end of the month. She never told me this directly, but the downstairs neighbor heard them talking about it on their way out. I ended up finding a much better place to land in a better neighborhood, so I wasn't screwed. But I was still incredibly pissed over the whole thing, due to the fact that she was so shifty and dishonest about the whole thing, so I delayed paying her the last month's rent until move-out day because freak her. On that day, I decided to go down to the bank and cash in the rent amount, like $350, it was the 90s, for pennies. The bank gave me rolled coins, which I promptly opened into a couple of Kroger bags. I moved all my shit out the day before, so I just met her there for a walkthrough, and when she asked for the rent, I handed her the bags full of pennies. She got red hot pissed and screaming at me, saying I was going to have to wait there until she counted it. First, she tried to get me to count it and roll it, to which I replied, "Nah, bitch, I know how much is there. Call me if it's short." Boss looked like a fool, courtesy of me. I worked as a recruiter for a temp agency when I was young and fresh out of college. The manager of the agency was a total micromanager and wanted a say in absolutely everything. She micromanaged everyone so badly that she wanted to proofread any emails that any staff member was sending externally. She also wanted to be CC'd on every single outgoing external email. One day, one of my co-workers got a response back from an employer who gave them some positive feedback about the email she wrote. Our manager made sure to reply all and take credit for the email and explains she oversees all outgoing emails. A few days later, in a staff meeting, she made a point of saying she should get credit for any feedback the agency receives, since she proofreads everything. The thing is, this manager was not well-spoken or smart, and not even a particularly good writer. I regularly spotted issues with her sentence structure and use of commas, but didn't say anything. One day, she's proofreading one of my emails that would be going externally to an employer who pumped a lot of money into our agency. I was stating the email that I thought so-and-so was a great fit for their vacant position based on so-and-so's past experience. Miss Manager comes to my desk and tells me the email looks good, except it should read past experience. I told her that was incorrect and she told me I was wrong, and she knows the difference between the two words. I wasn't in the mood to argue, so I wrote it as past experience and CC'd Miss Manager on the email. The employer writes me back and says, as an employer who hires people to work on printed literature, they wanted to correct me and let me know it's actually past experience. That's where Malicious Compliance kicked in. I hit reply all and thanked them for the feedback and explained my manager values all feedback, and since she proofreads all outgoing emails, she was the one who insisted on writing past experience. The next day, she announced she no longer wanted to proofread outgoing external emails and didn't want to be CC'd on them any further. Malicious Compliance put that witch in her place. It's good US money. Years ago, working your basic convenience store gig, guy comes in, wanders the stacks, and comes to me with about $750 worth of stuff and hands me a $100 bill. Dude, please tell me you have something smaller. I just opened about 45 minutes ago. I don't think I can break that. All true. I knew my tail was on a razor's edge for this one. I see that look on his face, hear that tone. Nah, it's all I've got. Those in customer service know that voice, that "I'm the customer, you're the peasant" tone. Right, okay then. I knew the type, but I tried begging off, giving him an out before I turned on my Gen X lack of fucks. Still polite and professional. Well, I can't make any promises, and I can't check while the sale's on the screen. Well, you have to take it. It's good US money. That isn't how this works. If I ain't got the cash, I have every right to refuse service. But hey, you set the rules, so Malicious Compliance it is. I will make you regret this. Pop the drawer, and the gods smiled upon me. 3 20s, 2 10s, and assorted 5 and 1 bills and coins later, he has his change. What is this? Your change. I wasn't sure I could pull it off, but we got lucky. Enjoy your afternoon. He's just standing there, unsure how to respond or act. Is everything okay? It's good US money. All sweetness and charm. Never saw anyone go from 1 to completely impotent 100 so fast. He wanted to chew me out or bitch to my boss, but knew I'd done nothing wrong. I gave him what he demanded, $90+ change from a $100 bill. What's he gonna howl about? Your clerk gave me exact change? The boss, and you're angry? Why? I watched each and every thought run across his face, trying to make me look bad, but just couldn't. So he just turned around and sulked away out the door. I've put in 40+ years behind the counter, in 4 states and dozens of stores, and this is by far my single most favorite customer exchange ever.